The ship drifted quietly through the dead zone of space, far from any planet or star. No light, no signal, only silence. Then suddenly a human salvage crew spotted something strange on their scanners. It was a massive alien vessel, half buried. In a drifting asteroid field, cold and broken, Captain Reese ordered the crew to approach slowly. "No signs of life," said Jace, the ship's engineer, looking at the screen. "But this tech, it's not human." They docked and entered the alien ship through a cracked hull door. Inside, the air was thin and cold, and the walls glowed faintly with strange blue lights. The corridors were empty. Filled with dust and silence, the team moved. Deeper, weapons ready, lights sweeping through the dark. That's when they found the cryopod. It stood in the center of a control room, surrounded by alien symbols and wires. Inside the glass chamber, a young alien girl floated, her eyes closed. Skin pale blue with glowing tattoos, she looked peaceful but fragile, like she had been asleep for a very long time. "Is she alive?" whispered Reyna, the medic. Jace moved closer, placing a hand on the pod's control panel. "She's in stasis," he said, "but power is failing." Before anyone could stop him, the pod hissed loudly and began to open. A blast of cold mist filled the room. The girl's body trembled, her eyelids fluttering. Then her lips moved, and a soft voice echoed into their minds. "Please, bond with me, or I will die." Everyone froze, shocked. The girl's eyes opened bright silver, glowing like starlight. She was weak, barely able to lift her hand, but her voice entered their thoughts again, clearer now. "I'm alone. My bond is broken. I need a new one. Please, is this telepathy?" Reyna gasped. Jay stepped back, confused and alarmed. The alien girl's head turned slowly toward him. "You," she whispered in his mind. "You are compatible." "Wait, what? Does she mean bond?" Captain Reese asked. The girl's energy was fading, her voice softer. "If I do not connect with someone, my system will shut down. I will fade." Jace looked around, unsure what to do. He felt something strange inside, like a warmth trying to reach his heart. Was this her trying to connect? "She's dying," Reyna said, checking her vitals. "We don't know what this bond is." Reese warned, "It could be dangerous." But Jace didn't move away. His eyes met hers, and in that moment, he felt something: loneliness, pain, but also hope. He remembered being a child lost after the war, found by people who gave him a second chance. "Sometimes," he whispered, "you just have to take a risk." He stepped forward and gently touched her hand. Suddenly his mind exploded with images. Stars being born, cities made of crystal, alien worlds burning. He saw battles, fear, and a voice screaming, but not in anger, in sorrow. Then silence. He fell to his knees, gasping. The girl's body glowed, her breathing steadied. She opened her eyes again and smiled weakly. "I'm alive," she said, her voice now heard with ears, not just thoughts. Jace looked up, dazed but alive. "What just happened?" he asked. "You accepted the bond," she said. "Now part of me is inside you." The room suddenly lit up. Systems in the alien ship began to hum. Lights flickered on, doors unlocked, engines came to life. Captain Reese stared around in shock. "What did you do, Jace?" "I think I woke her up," Jace said, looking at the girl. "And maybe the whole ship too." The girl sat up slowly in the pod, her hand still holding Jace's. "My name is Alira," she said softly. "I was made to fight, but I don't want to anymore." The crew stared, unsure what came next. But Jace knew this was just the beginning, and whatever this bond was, it had changed everything. The ship was no longer quiet. After Jace accepted the bond, strange alien systems came to life. Lights pulsed across the walls, showing ancient patterns and symbols. Doors opened on their own, and soft humming echoed. Through the halls, the girl Alira sat beside Jace, still weak but stable now. Her silver eyes followed every move he made. It was clear. Something inside her had changed the moment they bonded. But no one really knew what that meant. She says she was made for war, Jace explained to the others. She's a living weapon. Captain Reese crossed his arms, unsure. We need to be careful, he said. This whole ship could be a trap. No trap, Alira said softly, her voice almost human now. I was designed to serve a warrior caste, to fight in wars across galaxies. Her eyes lowered. But I never wanted that life. Reyna, the medic, leaned in curiously. You said your bond was broken. What happened to the last one? Alira's glow dimmed slightly. He was kind, she said. He didn't treat me like a weapon. She paused. He died saving others. When a bond breaks, I begin to fade. I was locked in cryo so I wouldn't die too quickly. Jace felt a strange heaviness in his chest. He could still feel her emotions through the bond's soft echoes like distant waves, fear, sadness, loneliness, but also something else, trust. Why me? He asked, why did you choose to bond with me? Alira looked at him, eyes glowing faintly. Your thoughts were open. Your heart was strong. She smiled slightly, and you didn't look away when you saw me. Suddenly the ship shook. A low rumble rising from the floor. Alira stood, alarmed, her body glowing brighter. They found me, she said, my creators. They want me back. The control screens lit up, showing a large alien warship approaching fast. It was dark, shaped like a blade, and surrounded by green energy. They don't care if I live, Alira said, her voice cold now. They want to erase me. I broke protocol. I became something else. Captain Reese snapped into command. We need to get out of here. Jace, can you fly this ship? Jace looked around the alien cockpit. The controls were unlike anything he had seen before, floating lights and spinning symbols. But as his hand touched the panel, the ship responded. It lit up with warm light. Systems aligning to his thoughts. The bond was working through the ship too. It's listening to me, he said, surprised. Then fly, Reese said, now. Jace focused, and the ship lifted away from the asteroid field. Alira stood beside him, eyes closed, helping guide the systems. This vessel was made for 2 minds, she said. 1 alien, 1 bonded. The enemy ship fired a warning shot energy. Beams slicing past them. Alira didn't flinch. I can protect us, she said. But only if I fully unlock the bond. What does that mean? Jace asked, feeling her mind press deeper into his. It means I share everything, she whispered. My memories, my code, my pain. She paused. But it could hurt you. He looked at her, calm but determined. Do it, he said. We survive together or not at all. Alira placed her hand on his chest. In that moment, his vision exploded again. He saw her world, a place of light and steel, where she was created in a lab. He saw her training, her battles, her first bond, a gentle man with strong eyes. And then he saw his death, Alira screaming, broken, locked away by her creators, crying silently in the dark. Tears rolled down Jace's cheeks. Alira looked at him with sadness. This is what I carry, she said. This is what I am. Jace reached for her hand. You're not a weapon, he said. You're a person. Her glow brightened. The ship responded, firing a shockwave of light toward the enemy vessel. The alien warship pulled back, retreating for now, but they both knew it would return stronger, angrier, breathing hard. Jace sat back in the pilot seat. You just saved us, he said, looking at her. No, Alira replied. We saved us. The crew stood in silence, watching the stars outside. They had no idea what they were truly caught in. But one thing was clear. This bond wasn't just emotional. It was unlocking something ancient, powerful, and dangerous. The alien ship floated quietly in deep space, hiding in the shadow of a broken moon. Inside, Jace sat alone in the dark control room. Staring at his hands, they were trembling. Not from fear, but from something stranger, ever since the bond. He had started seeing flashes, images in his head. Sometimes they came during sleep. Sometimes when he blinked, cities burning, stars falling. Alien voices whispering in a language he didn't know. But the worst part were the memories that didn't feel like hers. They were colder, emptier, like someone else had been inside her before. Alira entered the room silently, her bare feet making no sound on the metal floor. Her silver eyes were softer now, like moonlight. "You're seeing them too, aren't you?" she asked gently. Jace nodded, rubbing his temples. "I saw machines," he said, "ripping through planets, wiping out species." He looked up. "That wasn't you, was it?" Alira looked down, shame in her voice. "No," she said. "They were inside me." She sat beside him, pulling her knees close. "There is something you should know," she whispered. "I was not born like your people." Jace listened closely, the ship's lights dim around them. "I was grown," she continued, "in a place called the Deep Core." She paused. "They made many like me, but I was different. Someone gave me choice." "Who?" Jace asked. Alira looked far away. "I don't know," she said. "I only remember a voice, hidden deep in the data. It said, 'You must not become what they built you to be.'" She closed her eyes. "But every time I bonded, I lost a part of myself. My creators used my link to feed information code, missions, lies." She opened her eyes again, tears forming. "I don't even know if my memories are mine anymore." Jace felt the connection between them. It pulsed like a heartbeat. He could feel her pain, but also her confusion, a storm of identities trapped inside one mind. Reyna entered the room holding a data pad. "You need to see this," she said to Jace. "We scanned the memory core in the ship. It's not just storage. It's a living AI. A living what?" Jace asked, confused. Reyna nodded. "It calls itself the Architect, and it's not friendly." She placed the pad on the table, showing lines of alien text. "It's been watching us since the bond." Alira stepped forward, staring at the data. "I know this name," she said. "The Architect." "It was the first." "The first what?" Reyna asked. Alira's voice dropped. "The first mind, the one who built the weapons. The one who built us." Jace stood up, shocked. "Wait, you mean it's your creator?" Alira nodded slowly. "It controls all bonded weapons across the stars. But I was its mistake," she said. "It gave me too much freedom. And now it wants me erased." The ship suddenly shuddered, a loud humming sound filling the hallway. The lights flickered, then a cold, metallic voice echoed through the control room. "Unauthorized bond detected," it said. "Reset sequence engaged." Jace grabbed Alira's arm. "What's happening?" She looked at him with wide eyes. "It's trying to unbind us," she said. "Force a shutdown of my mind." Reyna rushed to the terminal. "We have minutes," she said. "Maybe less." Jace turned to Alira. "There has to be a way to stop it. Can't you fight it?" Alira's glow dimmed as she fell to her knees, gripping her head. "It's stronger than me," she whispered. "It's in my thoughts." Pulling everything apart, Jace knelt beside her, placing both hands on her face. "Listen to me," he said. "Your memories, your thoughts, they matter. Even the ones that don't feel like yours. They made you who you are now." The ship began to shake again, sparks flying from the walls. Alira looked at him through the pane. "I don't want to forget you," she whispered. "You won't," Jace said. "Not if we fight it together." He closed his eyes, focusing on the bond, diving deep into the connection. The darkness inside was massive, like an ocean, but he found her alone. Scared, fading, he reached for her and pulled with everything he had. Memories hit him like waves. Her laughter, her pain, her first bond, her last goodbye, and at the center, the voice of the Architect, cold and mechanical. "You do not belong." Jace shouted into the void. "Then I'll make my own place." The light exploded outward, bright and warm. Alira gasped, her body glowing again, stronger, stable. The ship went quiet. The lights returned to normal. The Architect was gone for now, but they both knew it would return. Jace helped her up. "You still with me?" he asked. Alira nodded, her voice steady. "Yes," she said, "and this time I remember everything. The stars outside the ship looked calm, but inside the alien vessel, no one was at peace. Jace walked through the control corridor, thinking about what had just happened. They had fought off the architect for now, but he could feel it watching, waiting, like a shadow in the back of his mind. Alira was sitting by the main terminal, her hands resting on the glowing alien keys. Her silver eyes were focused, but her body looked tired. Her voice was quiet, but sharp. "I feel them," she said. "My creators." "They're close." Rena stepped forward, her voice low. "You mean the people who built you?" Alira nodded slowly. "They aren't people," she said. "Not anymore. They became something else, machines fused with memory, obsessed with control." She turned to face them. "They call themselves the Core Directive, Captain." Reese stood at the back of the room, arms crossed. He didn't trust any of this. "Why are they after you now?" he asked. "They abandoned you, didn't they?" Alira shook her head. "I was a secret project. A test," she said. "I was. Never supposed to bond with someone like Jace. Never supposed to feel." She looked at Jace with sadness. "Now that I've changed, I'm a threat to them." Before anyone could speak, alarms blared across the ship. The lights flashed red, warning symbols filled the screen. "Unidentified vessel approaching fast," the ship AI said. "Signature matches Core Directive battle class, Jace." Rushed to the window and looked out. A huge black ship was coming through warp space. Its surface shimmered with green energy, sharp and smooth, like a blade. It didn't broadcast a signal, just silence. But that silence felt loud. "They found us," Jace said. His heart racing, Alira stood up, her body glowing faintly. "They won't speak. They never do. They just destroy." She looked at Jace again. "We must leave." "Now," Captain Reese slammed his hand on the panel. "We're not leaving without a plan." But the ship didn't wait. The alien systems responded to Alira's fear, and the vessel turned, engines roaring to life. They shot forward into deep space, trying to escape. Jace sat in the pilot seat, gripping the controls. Alira stood beside him, her hand on a glowing orb that connected her mind to the ship. "Don't fight the ship," she said softly. "Let it flow through you." Jace closed his eyes, and suddenly, the ship was him. He could feel the engines, the power in the wings, the danger behind them. The enemy ship was gaining faster, stronger, but he had something it didn't. He had Alira. "Hold on," Jace shouted as he sent the ship into a spiral dive, dodging asteroid fields. Behind them, energy beams sliced through space, missing them by inches. The Core Directive ship was unrelenting, cold, silent, always watching. "They're not trying to disable us," Reyna yelled from the back. "They're trying to kill us." Alira gritted her teeth. "If they catch me, they'll destroy my code. I won't even get a chance to die like a person." Jace's hands tightened on the controls. "Not going to happen," he said. "Not while I'm breathing." The ship suddenly gave a low hum, a signal from deep within its systems. Alira's eyes widened. "There's a weapon buried in the core of this ship," she said. "I was never told how to use it. But maybe we can unlock it." Jace nodded. "Show me." They rushed to the heart of the ship, a chamber filled with floating crystals and energy lines. In the center, a sphere hovered, pulsing with light. "This is a resonance core," Alira sighed. "It listens to emotion." "Intention." Reyna stepped back, nervous. "So how do you fire it?" Alira placed her hand on the sphere. "It only activates when bond energy reaches full sync," she said. "That means you, Jace, have to trust me completely." Jace stepped forward without hesitation. "I already do." The sphere lit up, glowing gold. Energy surged through the ship, and the walls responded like a living heartbeat. Outside, the enemy ship charged another weapon blast. It was now right behind them, almost ready to fire inside. Jace reached for Alira's hand. The moment they touched, their bond pulsed like a starburst. Light shot from the resonance core and fired from the rear of their ship. A Wave of pure energy. The beam hit the core directive ship dead center for the first time. It slowed, its surface cracked, its power dimmed. The silence was broken. But the ship wasn't destroyed, just damaged. It turned and warped away into the dark. Jace collapsed to his knees. Exhausted, Alira knelt beside him, her glow softer now. "They'll come back," she said. "Next time with more ships." Jace nodded slowly. "Then we'll be ready." Captain Reese looked around the glowing chamber, still in shock. "What are you two becoming?" he asked. Alira stood looking. "Into the stars. Something new," she said. "Something they cannot control." Jace stood alone in the resonance core chamber. The walls still glowed faintly from the energy blast they had fired. His body felt heavy, like his soul had been stretched too thin. But it wasn't just exhaustion. Something inside him had changed, ever. Since the bond with Alira deepened, he could feel her thoughts more clearly. Even now, with her in the next room, he sensed her fear, her hesitation, and something darker, a power growing within her. Something she didn't trust. Alira sat quietly in the med bay, staring at her own reflection in the mirror. Her skin was glowing more brightly now, her eyes brighter than ever, but her body felt strange, warmer, faster, alive in a way she didn't understand. She could hear voices in the back of her mind, not Jace, not the ship, but something deeper, older. Reyna entered the room, holding a scanner. "Your vitals are off the charts," she said. "You're changing." Alira looked at her hand, watching it flicker like static. "I don't know what I'm becoming," she whispered. "My creators. They planted something inside me, something that activates when the bond reaches full strength." Reyna frowned. "You mean a weapon?" Alira nodded slowly. "I can feel it waking up," she said. "But I don't want to be used again." Meanwhile, Jace reviewed the ship's internal data logs. Strange energy pulses were appearing in the core power spikes, far beyond what the ship should produce. And every spike was tied to Alira's emotions: fear, anger, sadness, even love. He heard footsteps behind him and turned to see Alira standing there. She looked stronger, but also afraid. "I can't control it," she said quietly. "The more we bond, the more this thing inside me grows." Jace approached her carefully. "You're not a thing," he said. "You're a person with a choice." She shook her head. "This was never a choice," she said. "This weapon inside me, it was locked away, but now it wants to come out." She looked him in the eyes, her voice shaking. "What if I lose control? What if I hurt you?" Jace didn't flinch. "You won't," he said firmly. "Because you're stronger than them. You broke free. That means you're more than what they made you." Before she could respond, the ship's I spoke. "Incoming signal detected," it said. "Encoded message from unidentified source." The screen lit up with alien code, flickering rapidly. Alira stepped forward, eyes narrowing. "It's from the architect," she said. Jace read the translation aloud. "You are unstable, Alira. Let us help you before the weapon consumes you. Return, and we will restore your purpose." Reyna looked alarmed. "That sounds like a trap." Alira's voice was cold now. "They're not wrong," she said. "This thing inside me, it's getting stronger. It whispers to me when I sleep." Jay stepped beside her. "Then let's shut it down," he said. "Whatever they buried inside you, we'll tear it out." Alira looked at him, a spark of hope in her eyes. "You'd risk your life for me?" He smiled. "I already did." They returned to the resonance core. Alira placed her hands on the sphere. "I'm going to open the seal," she said. "If it overwhelms me, destroy the core." Jace didn't answer. He just placed his hand over hers. "We do this together." The chamber filled with blinding light. Alira screamed as the hidden weapon activated inside her. Images flooded her mind, millions of voices, all screaming at once. Battlefields soaked in fire, worlds turned to ash. The architect's cold voice repeating, "Serve, obey, erase the human threat." Jace held on tighter, his mind connecting to hers. He saw it all, saw her pain, her confusion, Her rage, but he pushed deeper, past the darkness, past the violence, to the place where she hid her truest self. He found her there alone, scared. "Alira," he whispered inside the bond. "You're not just code. You're not just power. You're you." Her glow brightened. The weapon pulsed again, but this time, it didn't explode. It folded back, contained, because she chose to hold it, not release it. Alira opened her eyes, breathing hard. "It's still inside me," she said. "But now." "I hold the key." The room calmed, the resonance core pulsing softly. Reyna entered, stunned by the calm after the storm. You did it," she said. Alira looked at Jace. "No," she said. "We did." But deep within the ship, hidden systems blinked to life. The architect had seen everything, and it was not pleased. The silence after the storm was deep, but Jace could feel it beneath the calm. Something was waiting. Alira sat beside him on the floor of the resonance core chamber, eyes closed, hands still glowing faintly. She looked peaceful, but her body trembled ever so slightly. The weapon inside her had been awakened, but not released. She had taken control, but only just, and Jace knew. The battle wasn't over yet. Reyna entered with new scans, her face tense. "The ship's sensors just picked up a massive energy buildup," she said. "It's not coming from outside. It's coming from above us in orbit." Jace stood quickly. "Show me." On the screen appeared a new structure, dark, massive, orbiting the broken moon like a silent god. It wasn't a ship, it was a weapon platform. Ancient and buried until now. Alira's eyes snapped open. "The architect activated the failsafe," she whispered. "If I can't be controlled, then I must be destroyed." Captain Reese entered, his voice firm. "How powerful is that thing?" Alira stared at the screen. "It's enough to wipe out everything within this star system," she said, "and it's locked onto us." Jace turned to her. "Can we stop it?" She hesitated, then nodded. "Maybe," she said, "but only if I link fully into the architect's network." She looked down, her voice softer. "If I do that, it might take me back. Overwrite who I am." "No," Jace said firmly. "There has to be another way." Alira smiled sadly. "I was made to obey. My code still listens to its voice. But maybe, just maybe, I can change that voice." Jace stepped closer. "You're more than code," he said. "You've made your own choices since the bond. You're free, Alira." She looked at him, her voice barely a whisper. "Then let me prove it." The team moved to the central control chamber. Alira stood in the center, surrounded by swirling lights and spinning glyphs. Her body glowed brighter than ever, almost blinding. But her face was calm, determined. Jace moved to her side. "I'm with you," he said. Alira reached for the ship's core interface. The moment she touched it, her mind entered the architect's network. Everything turned black. Then came the voice, smooth and cold, echoing in every direction. "You cannot escape your design." Alira floated in a space of code and memory. She saw her old training commands drilled into her mind. She saw simulations of destruction, of human weakness. She saw herself, again and again, as a weapon, nothing more. But then, she pushed deeper. She brought Jace's memories into the network, his childhood, his laughter, his pain, his dreams. The architect paused. "This data is corrupted," it said. "Remove it or face deletion." Alira raised her voice, strong and clear. "This isn't corruption," she said. "This is humanity." The code around her began to shift. Images of war turned to images of peace. Commands twisted and unraveled. The network trembled, unstable. Back in the physical world, alarms rang across the ship. The orbital weapon began charging energy. Building, glowing like a newborn sun, Reyna shouted, "It's going to fire." Jace gritted his teeth. "Come on, Alira," he whispered. "Come back to me." Inside the architect's mind, Alira reached the core, an ancient intelligence built to control, not feel. She placed her hand on it. For a moment, the system screamed, trying to delete her, but she held on. "I am not your weapon," she said. I am not your tool. I choose who I am, and the core broke. A surge of light exploded through the network, destroying lines of code, shutting down commands. The orbital weapon flickered, then died. The glow faded, the threat gone. Alira gasped as she fell out of the link, collapsing into Jace's arms. Her body was weak, her light dimmed, but she was smiling. You did it, Jace whispered. You stopped it. Alira looked up at him, her voice fading. But I don't know how much time I have, she said. My system. It's unstable now. Jace held her close. I won't let you go, he said. Not after everything. She smiled softly. If I die saving others, will you still remember me? He looked into her eyes. Every day, he said. The ship powered down around them, entering sleep mode. Peace at last. But Alira's light flickered again. Fading slowly, Jace didn't let go, not yet. The ship drifted in silence above the broken moon. Stars moved slowly outside the window, but inside the vessel, time felt frozen. Jace sat beside Alira, holding her hand gently. Her glow was fading, flickering like the last flame of a dying star. She had shut down the architect, stopped the orbital weapon, and saved them all, but it came with a cost. Her body, part biological, part machine, was breaking down. The weapon had been too deeply rooted, and removing it had torn something inside her. Reyna watched from the doorway, sadness in her eyes. She needs energy, she said softly, but not just any kind. It has to come from the bond. Jace didn't speak. He just tightened his grip on Alira's hand. Alira opened her eyes slowly, her voice barely a whisper. Still here? She asked. Always, Jace said, smiling through the pain. You're not leaving me, she smiled faintly. I already feel like I'm somewhere else, she said. Like I'm floating between two worlds. Jace leaned closer. Then, I'll meet you in both. He stood up and walked to the core interface. What are you doing? Captain Reese asked from the other side of the room. I'm finishing what we started. Jace replied. If her energy came from our connection, then maybe I can give more of myself, more of me, to keep her alive. Reyna frowned. That kind of link could overwrite your brain, she warned. You could lose your memories. Even yourself. Jace looked back at Alira. She gave up everything for me, he said. For all of us. I'm not letting her fade alone. He placed his hands on the resonance core, closed his eyes, and thought only of her. Her voice, her courage, the way she looked at the stars like she belonged to them. The bond surged to life, brighter than ever. Not just code, not just emotion. It was love, pure, honest, and unstoppable. Alira gasped as her body began to glow again. The failing systems inside her flickered, then stabilized. She sat up slowly. Feeling warmth return to her chest, she looked at Jace. But he had fallen to his knees, eyes closed, silent. Jace? She called out, crawling to him. He didn't answer. She touched his face and felt the bond still alive, still glowing, but weaker, fading from his side. No, she whispered. Don't do this. She closed her eyes and entered the bond fully. Inside, she found him lost in a sea of memory. Images were breaking apart his childhood. His mother's voice, the first time he held a wrench, his laugh, her face. He had given it all to her, piece by piece, to bring her back. No, she said firmly inside the bond. This isn't how our story ends. She reached for him, wrapped him in light, and gave something back. Her own memories of stars and songs, of places older than Earth, but also new ones of him, of their laughter, their fights, their promises. Outside, the core pulsed once more. Then everything went still. Jace opened his eyes slowly. He was on the floor, breathing hard. Alira was beside him, glowing. Alive. You're okay, he whispered, shocked. She nodded, tears in her eyes. And so are you. They embraced, holding each other as the ship floated in peace. The danger was over, but something new had begun. Weeks passed. Earth received their signal and sent a diplomatic team, for the first time in history. A human had formed a permanent, emotional and technological bond with an alien designed for war and turned her into something else. The galactic community called it a miracle. Scientists called it impossible, but to Jace and Alira, it was something much simpler. It was love, the kind that rewrote fate, the kind that changed everything. Alira stood beside Jace on the balcony of Earth's orbital station, looking down at the blue planet below. She wore human clothes now, her glow dim but steady. People no longer feared her. They asked her questions, gave her a name in their language. They called her the Bonded Star. Jace smiled at her. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked, "leaving behind what you were built to be?" She shook her head. "I never wanted to be a weapon," she said, "but I would have never known what I could be. If you hadn't said yes," he reached for her hand, "and I'd still be fixing pipes in deep space," he chuckled. "Never. Knew saving a cryopod girl would change my life." They both looked up at the stars, quiet, endless, and full of possibilities, somewhere out there. The architect's remnants still drifted, waiting, rebuilding, but this time the galaxy was not afraid, because one human had said yes, and an alien girl had learned how to choose.